unlocking the secrets of the Giving Pledge. Ever wondered why over 240 billionaires are part of this key elite group? Well, that's what we're going to cover today. Stick around till the end. I've got a special bonus for you. I'm Casey Chauhan, founder of togethercfo. Let's go. So, what is the Giving Pledge and what is actually going on with all these elite billionaires? So if you have a net worth of over $1 billion, you can apply to become part of this super elite group of over 240 billionaires spanning 27 different countries. Most of them being here in America, but there are a few international people too. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates created this Giving Pledge. Now, they give out all this information in their annual meetings and get-togethers. Effectively, this is a mastermind group for the elite billionaires. And I wonder what they talk about there. Well, I'm sure they talk about tax strategies, how to give a better persona and an image of themselves to the public, because all that's really happening with this Giving Pledge is they are taking from one hand, getting a tax deduction, passing it over to the other hand where they keep complete control. This level of organization is only for billionaires, but if you stick around till the end, I'm going to show you how you can set up a very similar structure, use all of the same rules without having to be a billionaire. Right, let's get into it. The beauty about the Giving Pledge is that it's not a binding contract. It's just a pledge, which means you can pledge to give, but you don't actually have to do it. That leads me to believe this is all a huge publicity stunt there to make these elite billionaires look more like they're giving back to society. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of rich people do contribute back and do offer value in terms of gifts, scholarships, donations, and things like that. That's all good and well, but that's not what we're digging into today. We're digging into strategic giving, because that's what's going on here with this Giving Pledge. Over 50% of the people in this group have not even made a considerable donation to their pledge. So they are pledging to do it, but there's no legal requirement. They're not actually doing it because we can see in the numbers that they haven't issued those pledges yet. So what is really going on? It's a mastermind group for the elite so they can share these secrets in their small little groups. And what are they talking about? They're talking about private foundations. Because if we look at the way that these 240 billionaires are structured, almost all of them have their own private, non-operating foundation. And why is that so key and unique? Because it's not the most popular structure to use for non-profits. An operating foundation or an operating non-profit are usually the ones that most people go to when they are giving to charity, because if it's a church or a library or a museum, that's all operating organizations. That's not what these guys are doing. They are using private, family, non-operating foundations because of the advantages it has for them and their family offices. The key is you can use exactly that same structure if you know how to, because there's so much red tape around using foundations, and especially if you want to get and keep that tax exempt status, it's really important that you follow all of those rules. The reason that these guys use it, the foundation structure, is because it's probably the most advanced tool for passing on and creating multi-generational wealth, because the wealth isn't with you personally in your name or your company. It is donated into the foundation, and the foundation doesn't die when you die. It continues on, because eventually your kids will go on to run that foundation and their kids will run on, and so on and so on and so on. So potentially a foundation could be never ending, because it's always going to perpetuate with each generation of your family. So that's why the elites use it as a multi-generational wealth transfer tool, because it's in such a low tax environment as well. The net investment income that you would pay in a private foundation is only 1.39%, which is super low compared to paying over 37% if you were making ordinary income as an individual. So there's a huge host of benefits to that. Likelihood is that you're not even taking advantage of half of them because you don't even have a foundation. Another reason why the billionaires love foundations is, one, they don't have to operate them as a traditional non-profit, but also it gives them a lot of power and control over companies. Let's use an example. Bill Gates. Our friend Bill Gates is the biggest donor to the World Health Organization, the WHO. With Bill being the largest donor to the WHO, that gives him a lot of power internally in that organization. We can see this in events like COVID. During COVID, Bill Gates was everywhere talking about what we should or shouldn't be doing with vaccines, how they should be distributed, what needs to go on. Bill Gates is not a doctor. He has no authority in that realm, but that's where you're wrong. Because he is the biggest contributor to the World Health Organization, he effectively took control of that organization and was front and center about all of this disease control and everything that goes with it. That is because he is the biggest donor of that foundation. Right? So he's getting a tax incentive, but more importantly, at his level, at the billionaire level, they're doing it to yield influence. Why they want to yield influence and what they want to do, that's a whole other video, and we'll make one if you leave a comment below. But generally speaking, at the billionaire level, that's a great example to use how an unelected person goes and controls this organization simply by being the biggest donor. And that is very undemocratic, right? A person can just come in, donate millions or billions of dollars, and then effectively take over control of that organization that yields all this power globally. It's pretty frightening if you ask me. Now, most people aren't going to be doing that, and there are more efficient, strategic ways to use foundations to actually do good, firstly, but then also there's a whole host of tax benefits, legacy planning that can be used within these foundations very strategically and very wisely, which is another reason over 240 billionaires, that's right, not million, but billionaires have used this structure, even more actually. There's only 240 that are on this Giving Pledge. There's thousands more that all have foundations like the Kraft family, Rockefellers, and so on and so on and so on, right? Some of the people that are on this list of people that have pledged to the Giving Pledge as Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Mike Bloomberg, Oprah, the Rockefeller family, Larry Ellison, Paul Allen, and the list goes on and on. This is the who's who of everybody, right? The way the donations work, quite interesting, right? So if we think about it, you can donate up to 30, 60, or 100% depending on the entity that's putting the money in. Let's just go with a flat 30, simple. You can donate 30% and get an instant tax deduction, instantly, on your tax return. Fantastic. That money can go into the foundation, where it stays in the foundation box and does not have to be distributed other than 5% per year. The 5% expenditure rule means that you have to have expenses or donations up to 5% of the asset value. So let's run some scenarios. We'll put some money around it. Let's say there's $1 million that are donated into the foundation. You on your personal tax returns can get a full write-off for that $1 million there and then. Boom. Now the money is in the foundation, in the tax-exempt entity. The only requirement that entity has is a 5% rule. So 5% of $1 million is $50,000, has to be either donated or used by the charity, which could be payroll, admin expenses, rents, electricity, utilities, all that travel, all that type of stuff, as long as it's done for charitable purposes. The remaining $950,000 can just sit there in the foundation. Or if it's put to use and invested, the investment income that generates is only taxed at 1.39%. So I'm sure you can see the benefits there of having money in a foundation that you can actually donate to, such a low requirement that you have to meet, and then on top of that, such a low tax rate. That's why a lot of these billionaires all use in private foundations, and you should too. But be careful, there's a lot of rules, a lot of regulation, and a whole host of red tape that we do not want you getting caught up to. So make sure you speak to a professional about it, see if it's the right tool for you. Hit the link below. Remember to comment, like, subscribe. Thank you so much. I'm Casey Chauhan, founder of Together CFO, and make more so you can give more.